essay paper of 2021 mains is over. How was the paper? Let me share my understanding of 2021 mains essay paper with you, my dear friends. Vinay Kumar here, international NLP and IAS coach. In my 15 years of coaching experience, my dear friends, I have seen this paper evolve from time to time. In fact, I have been, I've been part of 4 essay papers, 4 mains exam that I wrote. When I wrote 4 essay papers, I could see even during that time the paper was evolving year after year, my dear friends. But one trend that I can observe in the last 3 to 4 years is there has been emphasis on 3 important aspects when it comes to essay. I am going to share with you those 3 important aspects right now, my dear friends. Are you ready for it? If you are ready, from wherever you are sitting, say, I'm ready, my dear friends. Thank you. Now, the very first aspect that I can clearly observe in the continuing trend from the last 3 to 4 years is there has been emphasis on self-awareness in the topics that are being chosen by UPSC to test who you are. Especially when it comes to writing essay, there has been an element of checking with you, evaluating your level of self-awareness. It's very clear. If you look at the topics there, you'll easily come into terms with the fact that UPSC is trying to ask you one question. Before understanding what it is to administer a country, administer people, have you administered yourself? Do you get that, my dear friends, what I'm trying to tell you? So there has been emphasis on self-awareness. Topics related to evaluating your self-awareness or assessing your self-awareness has been growing in terms of numbers. Earlier we used to have one topic which dealt with self-awareness. Slowly it became 2. Now we have 3 to 4 topics that is directly looking into who you are as you have understood yourself. Is that clear, my dear friends? That's number 1 that I will have to make a mention of. Second, I could clearly see, my dear friends, there is emphasis on seeing to that people who are aspiring for IAS have high degree of emotional intelligence. So second aspect is emotional intelligence. I could clearly see, my dear friends, that UPSC is looking into people with greater degree of emotional intelligence. Now you may be wondering, sir, how is point number 1 and 2 different? Aren't self-awareness and emotional intelligence related? They are definitely related, but they can be seen as 2 different things, my dear friends. Especially when you look at some topics, the emphasis is more on how much you have understood your own self. When it comes to some topics, you'll see that there is this interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills that is being taken into consideration. For example, there is this topic called your perception of me is a reflection of you. Yeah, my reaction to you is my awareness of me. Now, this can be a topic of both self-awareness as well as emotional intelligence. If you know Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, one of the important aspect of intelligence that he talks about is the emotional intelligence, where he talks about interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills, how a person thinks within his own self, what are the beliefs that he creates, what are the values that he creates, and all that, my dear friends. So this way, if there are topics that are deeply evaluating who you are from your own eyes, there are others which are actually testing how you manage your emotions as you do that self-talk within or in your interaction with others. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? Did you make out the difference? Now, having said both of them, the third aspect that I could clearly see in the topics that were there is the multidimensionality of your knowledge. Now, most of you may dismiss many of these topics as philosophical. It definitely helps, my dear friends, if you know the names of philosophers who actually made these statements. It's really good if you make a mention of them in the essay paper. But then, please do know this. UPSC is not trying to just check how philosophical you are. Please know this. There is definitely an element of evaluating your awareness of self. There is definitely an effort to see how emotionally intelligent you are, but it's not altogether philosophical. Okay, so also, and in fact primarily, still what will be tested is the multi-dimensionality of your knowledge. Any given topic, how you can look at it from multiple angles, multiple perspectives, paradigms, is what is being tested in the essay, my dear friends. For example, there is this topic, history repeats itself, first as a tragedy, then as a farce. Now, you may be wondering, how will I get in multiple dimensions here, sir? See, when we are talking about history repeating itself, we will have to talk about it from the history of economics, my dear friends. For example, in the past, when countries have started to, in the past, whenever countries have become protectionist, they have, put in trade barriers and all that. Eventually, everyone has suffered. In a world where flatness is thought of as the best thing, level playing field is thought of as the best thing, and in best interest of all, if protectionist barriers start to come, how it can lead to a slowdown or even a recession for the whole of the world? How it cannot be good for the growth that every country aspires. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friend? So, could you bring in an economic dimension there? In the past, how when countries have practiced protectionist economics, how they have led their own country and rest of the world in the direction of some kind of failure that will set in. So we need to learn from the history there. Or if you take into consideration disaster management, see, we have had history of disasters, my dear friends. If we don't learn lessons from there, from a ravaging cyclone or a massive floods or an earthquake, if we don't learn lessons from there, it definitely repeats itself as a tragedy. Now, if the norms that have been created, like let us say floodplain zoning norms or the coastal regulation zoning norms, when they are not followed, my dear friends, when these best practices are not followed, history will repeat itself. See, look at here. We are now bringing in so many dimensions to history and seeing how, if we don't learn lessons from history, how it can repeat as tragedy, my dear friends. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? So, three important aspects on which UPSC has been emphasizing upon is: number one, self-awareness; number two, emotional intelligence, both of which in the last 4 years has become very important for UPSC. And number three, my dear friends, is multidimensionality of your knowledge. Okay, how you are able to bring in various dimensions. Okay, so ultimately, my dear friends, it's again how well you are able to consolidate your thoughts, how well you are able to organize your thoughts is all another important thing before you pen down the final version of your essay. Now, one very clear fact that can be deciphered from the kind of topics that has been asked is whether you're becoming that human being who can become an IAS officer, my dear friends. So look deep into this statement and see, my dear friends, what it means to you. Okay, if you can make sense of it, I'll tell you, whenever you're writing your essay in the civil service exam mains, you're going to make it really big, my dear friends. Thank you very much. See you in my next video.